while your mom was still alive, so we could have met her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I put her away forever. I mean, I got the doll in 1960.
This was Baby Dear.
This is Baby Dear.
Mm-hmm.
I got her, I'm thinking it in 1961, February 1961.
Okay, so you got one of the first ones, didn't you?
Yeah, because my cousin got it for Christmas, and I looked at that doll and I thought, I absolutely have to have that doll.
Did you play with it, or?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the only thing that
Like a real baby, wasn't it?
yeah, it's the only thing that I kept in my childhood. And my mother actually ended up getting rid of all of my toys. They had Mexicans out on the farm.
Oh,
and
okay.
I grew up, when I grew up and I went to college, then she just got rid of all my toys and didn't say anything. But the only thing she kept was my doll. But she knows that I love that doll. My grandma made clothes for her and for my cousins. So we had a little wardrobe of things that she had made for both of our dolls.
See,
That's the only thing I can.
my mother really objected to Barbie.
Oh, I'll bet.
And having these voluptuous dolls.
I know. She liked the baby dolls.
She felt that made little girls grow up because Barbie had a boyfriend, she had makeup,
I know it.
I didn't approve of that.
No, she liked just the
It was
simple
funny
things.
because when our book came out, I did a radio interview, and they did a pre-interview before I did the radio interview, and I was mentioning this to them. They said, "Oh, you got to say that. You can't say that on the air." So I was thinking, how is good what you say? You don't want to say breasts or bosoms.
I don't say those things.
So I thought I'll say she's voluptuous or something.
She's voluptuous.
Something the mother objected. Well, I get on the air. What comes out of my mouth?
Yeah.
It's a completely wrong thing. And I thought, thank God this isn't television.
Well, you'll have to tell Bill who you are.
Yeah.
I knew you were looking at me like, introduce her.
Yeah, because you didn't introduce Andy
That's
before.
right, I did it. I
Okay.
didn't. After a while, I did because I showed this to my, my collector friends.
Okay.
And they're all sitting like, who's that? Who are you talking to?
Who meet these strangers?
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is
This is Deborah Springett. I am Eloise Wilkin's third child. There were four of us. My sister Ann, my brother Sidney. I was the third, and then my younger brother Jeremy.
It's interesting. Well, one of the things that I wrote down here is,
But I just don't get my glasses.
Oh, go ahead. First thing I want to tell you, I pulled this out of the library. First of all, I got my,
It's in that book, isn't it?
yeah, this one is in Rebecca
On the
Greason's,
golden books.
yeah, Rebecca Greason's little golden books, isn't it?
Mhm.
That one.
It's a whole kind of a history.
Uh-huh.
All names on the golden books.
And when I found this page, I got so excited because I thought, okay, I got the doll. And the only thing I wanted was a Baby Dear book to go with her. Well, then I find this page, and I said, oh boy, I would love to just start collecting this. And I thought I would never, ever get all of these.
And now you have them all.
And now I have them all. I told them I should line all mine up and make it look like this. So I've got everything.
I told you, my son and I are the models for this.
For the Baby Dear book.
And then my aunt wrote it. So
Yeah,
that's a
that's
very,
right.
yeah. And she wrote this one. Let me see, did she do my baby brother? I can't remember.
Oh, I know. I haven't read that too. Oh, there's your book.
She might have done baby lessons.
She might have.
I think
She did a few, didn't she?
I think she did baby lessons, and I think she did, what's the other one? Baby books.
Baby looks and baby lessons, yeah. They're just so sweet. I just love them. But when I pulled this out, I thought, oh, I'll never have all this stuff. Because I had met this gal, she was about 100 miles away, and she says, everything is so rare. Everything's really rare. Well, once we got the computer, we found out that things were a lot easier to grasp. But before, we were just like going around to flea markets
And then they're in a terrible condition.
and then they're in terrible condition. But and a lot of these are like these you would remember more. But I thought when I got a list of the old books, I said I'll never be able to get any of those.
You've done very well. I can't believe what you've done.
It's unreal. It really
Amazing.
is. So anyway, this really got me going when I saw this picture. I want all that stuff.
Oh, good for you.
I ended up getting all that. but we were talking about like a timeline, like when like your mom was born about your mom, when we know when she was born, but your mom was married to your dad about 1930, right? Right. Because then she was
August
putting
19th.
August 19th. Oh wow, that was
Now,
still
if you leave me your address,
Yeah.
I will send you one of the biographies when it's covered.
Oh, I would just be thrilled. I would just be so excited.
Okay, and that has all that information in it.
Okay, August 19th they were married. Okay.
Because I know they have that on the internet.
Did
I
they?
was talking to one of the editors down in New York because I did the introduction to the Treasury that's coming out
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
At the end of the year.
And I said, I just saw on the internet where my mother was married in 1935 or something.
Oh yeah, you
And I
said.
said, that makes two bastards. My mother was excuse my language.
No, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Turning over in grave.
She saw that was printed when your sister was born in 31, right?
Yeah, and then.
Okay, so 1931 was when Anne was born. Okay, and then you're 3.
Sandy was born in 1934.
Oh right, Sandy.
Or Sydney, I should say.
I know we go by 1933.
34.
Oh, 34. Okay,
And
then
I was
it's
born
you.
in 1936.
Okay, I suppose they'll probably about 30. I was thinking more like 38. Okay, then
And
Jeremy.
Jeremy was born in 1939. He was born the day Hitler marched into Poland,
Oh,
which started the First World War.
Really?
So he was born on
Quite a day.
historic.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Not that I remember it, but yeah.
I think that your mom and dad were married on August 19th. Bill's mom's birthday.
yeah.
Oh, for heaven's
And we were the
We
12.
lost her at age, she was 54 when she died of
Mhm.
cancer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's young. My mother would have been 100 this year.
But you know what? Us ladies, the gals got together just on it was March 27th, and we were at a doll show, and I said, "You guys, why aren't we celebrating a birthday here?" He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, it's going to be 100 this week coming up."
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden, I was looking through things to talk to you, and I went, "Oh, 4. Oh my gosh, she would have been 100." That it's too bad there wasn't some kind of a celebration out there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
In Canandaigua, they're having a whole month, a month of May. Eloise Burns Wilkin month. They do this 3 times. Yeah. So,
I'll probably hear from Sybil on that one.
mhm. They do this periodically.
And do they
My
do
brother
that?
lives in Rochester,
Yeah.
and so he goes down, gives a little speech, and opens it up. I was hoping my book would be ready, so I could go on and,
Are you
but
in
it
trouble
won't
with
be.
the publishing part of it?
Well, we're gonna self-publish,
Okay.
so, anyway, this year, for
You
sure.
want to do it this year?
Mhm.
Oh, that'd be
yeah,
fun.
it should be out hopefully, by the
Oh.
summer, I hope.
What did you call it?
Yeah, the golden years of Eloise Burns.
Oh, that is neat. I like the sound of it.
Yeah, yeah.
The golden years of Eloise.
People have been waiting for it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
hope so.
they
My
have.
son has already got us a website, so,
Oh,
and
neat.
it's going to be kind of the official family website, so that if
Oh.
people want correct information, you know,
Okay.
go.
So he doesn't have it.
Is the website
No,
set up?
No.
not yet, but it
Okay.
will be.
Oh,
It'll
that'll
be,
be
and as I say, it'll be the official family website, so that will, people want to know things or ask us questions or one thing or another.
Have you been in contact with anyone in Wisconsin? I was wondering if any of, because they all know who you are and that you live out here, but I was wondering, do you know anybody in Wisconsin?
Not that I can think of. Carol Stover, who has
Right.
written several, I've been in contact with her quite a few
Right,
times because
right.
she's writing these books, and so she keeps
Yeah,
contacting me.
got
So
her book.
we talk on the phone and we write back and forth and what have you.
Okay,
So that's Chicago.
that's Chicago.
I don't think, Wisconsin. Maybe when the book came out, our book, I did get a fan mail,
You probably did.
but I haven't looked at it lately to see where it came from.
Yeah, because I'm sure that there might be other, little clubs around, but I just happened by chance to go to a flea market, and then someone said, "Well, there's a lady collecting the same thing you are." And I said, "No way." well, all I can tell you is she was here just a little while ago, and then she goes, and I know she owns a store in Jefferson, Wisconsin, so, and it's a shoe store, so I was Main Street, Jefferson, and I just stopped in. Sure enough, I mean, she knew I was a collector right away. It was the funniest thing, because I walked in, I had my little angel pin on, she had one on, and I went, do you collect Eloise Burns? And she said, she got all excited. Oh, yes, I do, yes, I do, yes, I do. In fact, she said, come back in the store, she said, I'm boxing up this stuff right now to mail to someone in Missouri. And then she showed me a couple of books. The Visit was what she was mailing.
That was a good one.
That was adorable book, that.
That she did with Joan Nestle, who she
Mhm.
was you probably know more than my mother.
No, I really don't. It's just that I
Joan,
really.
they were classmates together, and then they were very, very good friends. And they were in New York City together at the start of their careers before Mother.
Yeah.
But then, Joan, I used to see a lot of Joan.
I was going to say, did you stay in contact with her?
Yes, she passed away. She was about 96. She moved to Florida. She went to Florida to live with her niece, and then she went into a nursing home and didn't like that. So
No.
her niece took her out of the nursing home, and she passed away.
So she hasn't been gone
No,
that long.
not really.
Oh.
So Joan was a great help to me when I was writing the book,
I
because
can
she had a
imagine.
lot of information, a completely different perspective.
Perspective
Yeah,
of the two of
it
them.
was fun. It was fun to hear some of her stories.
Well, I read that article, and you're gonna laugh probably when you see the picture. But they talked about in this article about how your mom worked at McCurdy's as a fashion artist. I don't even know where this came from. I think this actually came from a newspaper article or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the F on
She
it,
and
which is
Joan did illustrations for the fashion illustrations for McCurdy's and Foreman.
And
But-
Foreman's too,
But,
okay.
yeah, but Mother never felt she was that
Yeah.
good at that, because
Yeah.
she had an image, all her women were sort of preppy East Coast Radcliffe
Uh-huh.
girls.
Uh-huh.
And you probably noticed, my sister and I both have naturally curly hair. My mother, you never see any of her children with naturally curly hair. She actually hates naturally
that
curly
fun-
hair, and
I
then she
know,
has two
isn't that
daughters
funny?
plus with it. And
I know.
my daughter has naturally curly hair, and
Does she?
and a couple of my nieces have, not as curly as Elizabeth, but
That's
my
nice.
mother would never draw
No.
people with curly hair.
And you've been quoted here and there in different places, I know, you said that about the curly
Yeah.
hair. We did learn that a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe even Ann told us, it was saying, well, this was a model, but that little girl had curly hair. Mom drew long, and she liked blonde hair mostly.
She liked blonde,
Especially with her
straight,
dolls.
very straight, and she had a fit when they put curls on her dolls. So,
Okay.
there's only one illustration, Amy, this is my niece.
Right.
The oldest daughter.
Mhm.
Amy had cute little curls, and
Oh.
Mother did put the curls on her
Yeah.
hair, and when Amy posed for her.
Oh, okay.
Once.
Do you know what she posed for?
I'm trying to think of what the book was. Gosh, I can't remember, I'd have to look,
Yeah.
because I can't remember.
Oh, I know, there's so many books.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Well, I had read that a couple of times about McCurdy's, and it says McCurdy's Box Company. She did illustrations.
No, it was a
for-
department store.
It was a department store.
McCurdy's in Rochester.
Okay.
And they just didn't like the way
Yeah.
her ladies looked. They didn't look like fashion models, and of course.
She
that
never
was
kept
like-
any of that stuff then either. Have you ever
No.
seen what the illustrations look like? I was wondering.
They
if you could
probably
spot
didn't even
'em.
give her credit. They
No.
probably appeared in the paper or something. Or a
something.
catalog or what have you.
Yeah.
So,
It-
unfortunately.
I know.
I mean,
it.
she never even kept her books for us.
I know it.
And
I know
she'd
it.
get 10. Each book she'd do, she'd get complimentary
Oh,
10
like
books.
10 books?
And she'd just give them away.
I'll probably give them to like neighbors or
Yeah.
if somebody had a baby
Will
or.
you sign one of my books? And
Oh,
why
that
should you
would-
think to keep 4 books for each
For you
child?
guys.
I know, so we're scrambling.
You're scrambling to find
Yeah,
them.
so,
Oh, I know where that's something else.
yeah.
Do you remember this as an article?
Yes, I do.
I think,
here in
Sybil,
Rochester.
yeah, I think Sybil wrote that on there and made a copy for me or whatever. She said, oh boy, she would
they
hate the
always
S.
put-
Boy, she would hate the
Oh, yeah,
S
she
on
would.
there. She
That's
would make
not a
it
very
look-
flattering picture.
No.
I hated those glasses.
Your mom didn't like to wear her glasses all the time when
Well,
she was in
But
pictures, right?
I don't know why she went for those horn-rimmed glasses. I don't think they were the most flattering.
Your sister said the same thing, which is
Oh,
funny.
gosh.
She goes, oh my gosh, look at that picture, my mother hates that.
Oh, she would. It's awful. Dreadful. Anyway, but that's the way she wore her hair.
It might be quoted in one of these.
Okay, let me see.
I don't remember, I got some articles you quoted in. I don't know. That is interesting about Joan Esley.
Yeah.
You know, I figured she'd been gone a long, long time
No,
ago, but
she's
she
been
was
quite a while.
90. So they kept in contact probably all the
Well,
way
they
up until
lived,
the time.
mother, my aunt and uncle had, built a cottage on Lake Ontario. Cause my
Mhm.
mother, when she left Canada, she moved back into Rochester before my dad died.
Okay.
And then mother built a Norwegian house across the road from Esther, and Joan would spend every summer with my mother
Okay.
down at the lake. So they were kind of the lake dwellers. They had a very nice social life.
Okay.
So
That's the timeline we were gonna talk about, like, where you guys lived, or where you could remember where your mom lived, and about what
this was in the
time.
60s. I'm talking
The
about
1960s.
60s and 70s.
60s, 70s.
And then, of course, she died in the 80s.
Yeah. Did she, no, is that on Canandaigua Lake?
No,
Or was
no.
that out by
That's
like
Lake-
Rockport?
No, this is Rochester.
Right.
Lake Ontario.
Lake Ontario, oh, okay. And that was about 60s, 70s.
See, they left Canandaigua in 61, and my dad died in 64,
Okay.
and I'm trying to think when we built this in, and not this in, but living in that house was in her house. Probably late 60s, early 70s.
Just trying to, I know she's lived a few places. We learned all that.
Well,
over time.
she lived in, they moved into an apartment, and then they built a house that actually, my husband and I bought from her when we moved back to
Oh, really?
Rochester on Overage Drive. Beautiful, very modern. You know, she lived in
Yeah.
that old stone house.
Right,
here.
right, right.
And then she built this very modern house, she and my dad. It was all slate floors and, wood paneled walls, and it was in the middle of the woods with a beautiful view of the woods, and, it was a lovely house. And it sort of was like living in the country.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, because they were surrounded by animals and
Mhm.
deer and birds and what have you. They always had bird feeders and water flowers.
Oh.
My mother took quite an interest. Did I ever tell you the story of the bird she raised in Lake
No.
Ontario?
No.
It was a cedar waxwing that
Oh.
lost its mother, one of the cats in the neighborhood killed the mother. So mother had this little, she wasn't directly on the lake, she was sort of across the road from the lake. And so she had this sort of little path, and you could go down, and she had like a little gazebo. So she raised the cedar waxwing in there, and she called him Cedric. I don't know if he was Cedric or
Sweet.
anyway. But then she let him go. You know, when she felt he was ready, felt she was ready to go. So the next spring we were down at the lake, and she said, "Do you want to see my Cedric?" And I said, "Yes." And she'd say, "Here, Cedric, Cedric." She'd make it,
No.
and you'd hear way off in the distance this bird getting closer and closer. He got right up close, and he was so happy to see her.
Oh, isn't that the
And I
cutest
thought
thing?
it was amazing.
Oh, that is.
Yeah. I mean, he knew her.
You knew her.
He chirped, and this was his mother, I guess.
Yeah.
They really bonded
Yeah.
Oh.
during those months that she was.
My
doing
mom
that.
will be interested to see this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we moved a baby Robin, and because his mother was killed or whatever,
Mhm.
we moved this baby Robin, and we raised it at the house, our new house. It would just go over and just land on people, and they'd be all startled,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know, it got used to coming to
Mhm.
us. And then it came back the next spring too with
Yeah.
its mate, and it had babies in our, yeah, and it would show up on the windowsill and sort of look in and go
Looking,
back and
yeah.
forth, and you
Yeah,
knew
it's
that,
amazing.
yeah, then you knew that, you know, it survived and made it through, but my mother just nurtured everything.
So did my mother. We had
Everything.
chimneys, and the chimney swifts would fall down.
Yep.
So she had to,
my mother
And
was saying
and then my dad would go out, and the little chickadees would land right in his hand.
Oh, man.
You know, he finally got them tame enough that they would come to him. And,
Oh, so then he never.
well, birds are smarter than we think. I was looking at
They must be.
a program on television, and it was crows, and they had these nuts that couldn't crack. So they got the bright idea of dropping them in the road so that the cars would run over them and
Oh.
crack the nuts open.
Oh.
Well, this was in England. Then they actually filmed this. Well, then they were discovering this was a little dangerous, going and getting the nut because the cars would keep coming. So they got the bright idea of taking the nut to those zebra crossings that they have in England, waiting for the people. They get them to crack the nut, and then they wait for the people to come along and stop the traffic. You know, at the crossing, and they would go down, and they would get their nut. And I think this is amazing. And he was,
Yeah.
I guess this is one of Richard Attenborough's programs, and he was trying to prove that you know, these animals are smarter than we think.
That
And I
is,
think that's pretty clever.
that is very clever.
Anyway.
So I was just kind of get a timeline a
Okay.
little bit about where you were. I knew that that they had moved out in '61 because we actually knocked on the door up in Canandaigua. Funny, we
The
first
backwards.
yes first the backwards. First of all, we saw this other house across from the hospital. Oh, that's got to be it. Okay.
No, that's what the mirror was.
So we found that out
Okay.
later,
Mhm.
and we were taking these little pictures because no one was home. I was just kind of taking pictures by the lake and that. Then we drove up a little bit farther up in Parish, and Bill goes, "That's the house."
Oh, I
You can
know,
tell.
I recognize it from the
Then we
pictures from the book, yeah.
recognized it from the
Mhm.
pictures. We were laughing our heads off
Yeah.
on that one because we thought we knew what we were doing. So we knocked on the door, and Cynthia was home, and I said, "Do you mind if we just take a picture of this house?" She says, "I can't believe that other people haven't stopped by to ask me that question."
Mhm.
And so she said, "Why don't you come in?" Well, we were like shocked. She said, "Why don't you just come in and we'll move around the house? I'll show you the house." Oh my God! So we got to
Oh,
see,
nice, yeah.
you know, all the fireplaces
Mhm.
with the writing, you know, on the
Yes,
on the-
you still have that, doesn't you?
And she said, "I'm so glad that nobody had ever painted over this." I
Mhm.
said, "Nobody ever should paint over that."
Yeah.
So she showed us the fireplaces and upstairs and told us little stories about how some of the furniture was left there for a little
Mhm.
while.
Mhm.
Their beds was left up in there, and then she kind of showed us where the boys' rooms were when I
I
was
was
a
the first
boy.
time.
Were you?
The first
Were
time
you?
when you walk in, you turn to the right.
To the right. Okay.
It used to be blue, I don't know what.
I think it still is.
Is it? And it's Dear Father, Hear Us Last Night. Your beat singing, you know.
Over the top
I picked
of-
that, yeah, on
okay.
my mantle.
Oh.
And then my sister was, well, I had the bigger room because when guests came, I had to move out. So
Oh.
that was okay.
Yeah.
You know, so I had that room, and then my parents were right across from me. And
Okay.
the two boys, and then Ann was around.
Around the
Ann liked to
corner.
be on her own.
She wanted to be on her
Yeah.
own. But you know, when I got into the boys' room, you could just see that in her paintings in the book.
Mhm.
You just, you know,
Did they show you the writing
Did
on the
you-
window pane?
on the window pane.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
in the master bedroom, and
Oh,
I think it's
really?
in the boys' room too. Maggie Gorham, William Gorham built our house, and his daughter scratched with a diamond. I think it must have been her engagement, the day she was engaged or married. Anyway, it
Oh.
scratched in the old panes of the window.
Oh,
Oh.
these
So,
things.
you know.
No, they didn't do that. They didn't show it, did they?
No, I don't remember that, no.
No.
And
Don't
then
think you
under
did.
6 layers of wallpaper in the boys' room, we found a message to Maggie from an admirer that had spent
Oh.
the summer there, and he mentioned Oak Hill, and that's how we
Oh,
knew
he did.
that our house was called Oak Hill.
Oak
So
Hill.
that's why we started calling it Oak Hill. Apparently across the road, that whole hill was just oak trees.
Oh, beautiful. That's a beautiful area up there. Yeah, they love the house, but they said that they need to retire someplace.
Yeah.
They love the house, but you know, they're like, there's no house like this around. We wouldn't even know how much to ask for a home like this.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, they were kind of stumped, and the realtors are kind of stumped with that. But they were very nice people. It was really interesting for us to reading through the visit, and I got to the last page, and it talked about how your mother had won, this award for Lilibet, and of course, none of us knew what Lilibet was. And, I said, geez, I wonder what Lilibet is. What do you think it is? I said, I don't know, that's all it says in the back of the book, is she won this award. Well, while they were showing us around the house there, they showed us the lithograph. That was Lilibet. So then, I said, I was the one that questioned it in our group, and then I brought it back. She said, yeah, this is Lilibet. She said, and this should stay with the home. I went, wow,
Well,
that
that
thing
should
is
stay with the family. My parents left it in the barn and didn't realize. They
Oh,
left it
that was an
behind.
award for her too.
And so when we went on a house tour down there, and Mother saw it again, and she said, I'd like to have that stone back.
It stayed there.
Shouldn't really stay
Oh,
with
that
the house.
shouldn't really stay with the
No.
house.
The family really feels it belongs to the family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully it'll stay there, not end up somewhere, but,
Who knows?
you know, hopefully you can get it.
I mean, there's original works that we just found out they're up in the museum in Oregon from the visit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we saw it online, yeah. That,
I mean, how did that get there? You know, these things
Oh.
go around, we have no idea.
That's such a darling book.
yeah, we did see that website, or I did anyway.
Oh, you did? I didn't see that.
Who gave that? You know, did the publishers give it to them, or how was that done?
Mm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
We see things every once in a while, and we wonder if they are authentic, and were they stolen by somebody, and now they're turning
Sometimes
around.
they're not, because someone bought some things of my mother's that she did very early on, and they brought them to my brother and said, is this an authentic autograph of your mother's? And we all looked at it and we didn't think it was. Well, see,
Oh,
it's
man.
probably worth a lot more with saying you got, and
Right.
the woman who bought it wouldn't tell us who she bought it from, and the man who, so we said, we'd like some of these,
Right.
if you've got more of them. Well, it's all hush hush,
We
secret,
don't know.
secret, no one will tell us.
Right.
But this is kind of upsetting to us that someone
It
is
is.
trying to make, forging her signature
Yeah.
and trying to make money.
Because this is how I always figured she wrote everything with like a, oh, this is not like a
Close, but it's
capital,
just
but, you know.
Slightly different.
Didn't we see something?
We saw something on the internet on an auction.
It was a puzzle or a printer, and we thought, that doesn't look like her signature.
Oh.
That's what we thought.
It looked like a particular, I think it was,
Was it on the circus or something?
yeah, it was a circus, and we have circus things that she did, and and they looked a little bit like it. It looked, but it was different. And,
But the signature
and the
wasn't.
signature, and we all questioned the signature too. We
Yeah.
just thought.
Then we
this
blew
is-
it up, and I took it to my my collector friends, and I said, "What do you think? That doesn't look like her writing from other things that we've done." You know,
But it did look
yeah.
like her painting.
But it did look like her
Yeah.
painting. It
Well-
did, and then you think, could it have been Joan Esley, someone else who drew like her, or
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? What?
they sure did. Their drawings were so similar.
They were very similar.
Very. She did my brother, my sister, my brother, or whatever, right? Joan Esley did?
Yeah.
My baby, no, not my baby, my sister.
Brother and sister.
Is it my baby brother?
No, she did that one, let's see. My baby sister, maybe it's called.
Something like that, yeah.
And if you just picked it off the shelf and didn't, you know, didn't see that it was Joan Esley, think it was Eloise. It's a holy cow, and then I went page by page, I had to have the book done. Then I went page by page, I said, look at all these, how similar they are. But you figure they went to art school together, they probably learned to draw with the same pencils, and,
We were fortunate to
Yeah.
find some book because she signed a lot of stuff, either the EB
yeah.
or something on them, and people picked that up. And it might have been just one illustration in the book, but somebody picked it up and saw that illustration and then advertised it that way, so we found them. But otherwise, the book you would have looked at and thought, no.
It seemed like that first year that she was married is when she put Eloise Burns Wilkin on everything. In fact, I think I asked you about this called Big Circus, and you were but we found it in a book listed, and I'm like, Big Circus Portfolio, so it's only supposed to be like 24 pages.
So you don't know what
Anything
book you
about
saw
it.
listed in.
We have been trying to figure out where we saw it. I wrote down all the details about it. 24 pages. It might have been like a brochure.
It says Circus Portfolio by the Miller Brothers.
Yeah, by Miller Brothers.
Circus Portfolio.
So it must have been just something she did as like an advertisement, or I don't know. We don't have any idea.
I should go get, I'm gonna, do you mind if I go get a notebook?
Oh, no,
I'm gonna write
no.
this down.
Because
I'm-
it's supposed to be a 24-page, they call it a portfolio.
Mhm.
And did we get a year on that one?
And Miller, you say?
Miller,
Miller Brothers.
by Miller Brothers. It's a BROS.
The thing that was confusing is there was a Miller Brothers circus.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what it was. We poked around.
And we found a lot of Miller Brothers, and they have posters and stuff,
All
but we
over
didn't,
them, yeah.
Okay.
but we haven't seen anything that we thought looked like.
And then all it said was by Eloise Burns Wilkin. All we know, right?
Mhm.
And is it,
24-page portfolio?
it's nothing that's written, there's no words, there's no author.
It didn't say
That's
that.
all it, that's all it said in the book.
And you don't remember the name of the book that you saw this in?
If we did, we know it already. Because we've been trying to find the book.
Yeah, we're
because
trying to find the
We've
book.
called different
Got it.
people in the books that we thought it might be in, that have them for sale, and asked them to look for us, and said nothing in there.
And this, okay, where's that article? This article, this is called something about the author, and that's what we thought we saw it in. But now here's your mom and Esther.
Oh.
And this lists just almost everything you can think of, but it does not have the Big Circus listed in there. Because I was reading through this even on the plane again. Here's when they were signing books. Isn't that cool? Here she's wearing her glasses
No,
again.
glasses.
But, yeah, I looked in here to see if this was where we got it from, and no. That was called something about the author. Is it?
Relatives of my father.
Oh, the house in Brockport, is that one up?
And the visit, you know that house?
Oh, I
in-
love-
in the visit?
Yes.
That was my mother's grandfather's house,
Really?
Edward
Oh.
Harrison's house. And it's now the alumni house for Brockport University.
Oh, my gosh. Now, she went back to Brockport in the summers, didn't she, sometime?
Yes.
Well, you know,
All 4 children came back from New York City. Probably their parents wanted to get them out of the city
Right.
in the summer months. So they would put them on the train and send them to visit their grandparents. I have a feeling, I don't know where the 2 brothers went, but
Yeah.
Esther, I think, spent her summers primarily in Brockport with the Harrisons, and Mother, I think, was in Rochester primarily with the Burns grandmother.
Oh, okay.
So,
We would be here, she would go back and visit it
Yeah,
once
she
in a
did.
while with.
every summer, I said, how did your mother
Yeah.
get rid of all 4
And
kids
she
every
did her
summer?
summer. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Didn't she do that also, between college?
Well, she
In
went,
the summer, did we hear that? or
no,
I don't
she
know.
went to live, when they left New York City, she moved to New York City when she was 2, and she left when she was 14,
Yeah.
and they lived in Brockport
Oh.
for maybe a couple of years, and then they moved to
When she was just
Rochester.
14, okay. Huh. That's neat.
Mhm.
Yeah, we knew that there was something
And
about
their place on the lake is not too far from Brockport. Brockport's just outside of Rochester, and it's not, they live near, their cottages were near Hamlin, or Hilton, Hamlin.
Hilton,
they're
Hamlin.
And
I've heard of
Brockport is-
Hilton was
And
there, too.
Brockport is very nearby too.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of my dad's relatives and my mother's relatives lived in Brockport. And then when their mother died in 1924, Mother went to live with her aunt, Mother and Esther,
Oh, they did.
their great aunt.
Okay.
Their grandfather, Edward Harrison, had 3 wives. great-grandmother, my mother's grandmother, Mary Ann Reynolds, and they had 3 or 4 children, but only 2 survived, my grandmother and her younger sister.
Isn't that something?
And then she died, and so he married her sister,
Oh, for Pete's sake,
Margaret
okay,
Harrison,
okay. I could see
whom
that.
they called Auntie.
Auntie.
And so Auntie, when their mother died, their father sort of sold the house and moved into a boarding house. And Esther and mother were unmarried at that point in time. Their younger brother, of course, was dead. He died at 15.
Oh, wow.
And George was married, the older brother. So the 2 of them had no home. So Auntie Harrison invited him to live with her.
Oh, isn't that special? Oh, that's what happened to us too. When your mom died, she was 54, and there were still 3 kids left at home. So the one was on her way out for college, and she just was sort of like drifting. And then there was one that was 14, and then Brian was 17 at the time. Wasn't he? Right? He came to live with us. Yeah, we let all the kids like kind of go to all of the married siblings and see which one they wanted to live with. So we ended up with his brother. And so we know that was tough. That's a tough time.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the guidance they need in high school.
No, I know.
All of a sudden,
Pretty good that they had to.
yeah, there were. Well, he had 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
7 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Total 7, not 7 of each.
No. Total.
Total. There were 8 altogether.
Oh, your
Yeah,
mother
8.
must have been busy. And
Yes, she
are you
was.
one of the older ones?
I'm in the middle.
Right in the middle.
4 of 8.
Oh,
Okay, number 4. Yeah, and
Now,
the
you 2
one-
have children?
We have 2 sons. Yep. And we have our older son's gonna be 30 this year, and then the other one is 24. We're almost 24.
Does
No,
he
he's
turn
20.
30?
It sounds strange for me
Yeah.
to 30. Like, could he actually be turning 30? And they both work for the same company, actually.
Oh, okay.
Kevin, the younger one, lives in Minneapolis, and his brother lives down in Chicago. I just don't know.
12 hours to get to see them.
Oh,
That's hard.
it has to be, especially with grandchildren.
Yes.
How many grandchildren do you
I
have?
have,
Now you can turn it back on. We'll talk to her.
I have 3.
3 grandchildren.
My kids are waiting forever.
Yeah.
I love being a grandmother.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
my
this will
kids
be good.
just took their time because
Yeah.
it's 3 boys. My daughter isn't married. My older son doesn't have children, but the 3rd son was the first to have grandchildren, and he has 2, and that's it. As far as he's concerned, Oliver will be 8 in June, and Scarlett just turned 5,
Oh, pretty
and
little.
Luke
He's
will be 3 next month.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Did you get down here very often?
Well, I get down here more than I do in England.
What-
Since 9/11, I'm not too.
Yeah, and I know,
Anywhere.
Especially across.
I'm gonna keep looking at my watch,
Yeah,
but I
because
don't
you
wanna
have-
run out of time.
No, it's
Before we do all the
10:30.
things we have to do.
You need
Okay.
to leave at 11:30 or pick him up
Yeah, I have to go pick him up
at 11:30?
around there.
Oh, okay. So you need to actually leave the house here probably like quarter after.
Do you want to look at some of these?
A quarter after. Yeah, we can, because we can actually make comments on the books and things.
Sure.
Maybe. We're having Deborah sign the book saying who all the people are in the baby's birthday, golden book, David.
My husband always looked like the Frito Bandito with that.
He's got the
See,
mustache.
Jim even had a beard. He was a gynecologist,
Oh, was he?
obstetrician.
Oh, really?
He's retired. Jim Murphy. Dr. D. This is Deborah Springett.
And I realize you are O-R-A-H, aren't you? I would have
Oh,
gone
the old-fashioned way.
You know,
This is,
that's like our niece Deborah with the D-R-A.
well, there are not too many Deborahs in my generation. This is Elizabeth. This is Dad's years.
mom in one of those? She did paint it herself at the birthday party, didn't she?
Where's my book?
There's the book.
You're in Mark Springett's house.
Mark Springett's house.
Okay.
You have it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is Mark.
Oh,
This picture
there's
of his
my-
grandmother.
Oh, you will
This
turn
is my
that around
mother.
the shoulder. Oh, there's your, there's grandma.
There's Grandma with her dark glasses, and this is her Irish skirt and sweater that she bought in Ireland. Mark was about 5 years old when he did that picture. And when we were doing this, you know, it's about a grandmother that comes and babysits.
Oh, yeah.
And the first illustration, my mother had this sort of grandmother standing, sort of hovering in the background. And my mother, you know, didn't like to do older people because she did those really funny ones.
I
And
know.
they made her stop doing that, or she
Yes.
got this nasty letter.
Oh.
So she stopped doing that. So I could see my mother was very upset. She didn't want to have this grandmother. And I said
Yeah.
she made an ashtray out of this for her coffee table
Oh.
because she thought it was so funny.
That is hilarious. That is so
So-
sweet.
I said, Mother, let's incorporate that picture in the ashtray in the book. So this is
Isn't that
actually a
cute?
picture of my mother. That's the only
By
time that
Mark.
I know that she's ever appeared in one of her books.
Oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that sweet?
Okay. So,
Now, let's see, that was, yeah, you won't have to write a whole bunch of
No,
stuff.
I'll
If you
just- I'll just
If you're
type.
gonna, you just wanna put your name in the front of these, and that would be it, then
Yeah.
I'll show you those pictures. But while you're signing those, do you know, about the paper dolls, or did you play with
yes,
any?
I've seen them.
Did
No,
you,
no.
you didn't get to play with some of them, cause we were
No, but I've
wondering
seen them.
if she did any in the forties. We know she did some back in the thirties, really early ones, 30 and 31 or something. With the paper dolls. And then,
I'll have to tell you a funny story about this one. This is one
yeah,
that was written about.
tell the story.
I went into a store
Give you hooks, huh?
and
Which one is this one?
this is
That's Baby Deer.
Oh, baby deer, okay.
And I was
Those are
buying a
the
whole
little-
group of them. And these ladies said, why are you buying all those books? And I said, well, I'm buying four for each one of my children. And I opened it up and I said, see? I said, I modeled for this. I said, don't you recognize the nose? And
Oh.
those two women looked at me and said, what is she talking about? I thought, uh-oh. I said, okay. I said, how much do I owe you? And finally one of them said, what do you mean you modeled
For
for
these?
this? So I explained that this was my mother and that
Yeah,
this was my older son, David.
David,
And
okay,
I was
yeah.
the mother, and I'll tell you another funny story about, let me see, this is when we were living in Kingston, Canada. I married a Canadian.
Uh-huh.
And my husband he was in he went to the Royal Military College, so he had to serve 3 years in the Army, and then when he left the Army, he did his master's and PhD at Queen's University. Well, needless to say, we were having babies and couldn't afford
Yeah.
too much in the way of clothes, so my mother, she took a picture of me. She had this skirt way down here, and the editors in New York said, that woman's skirt is too long.
It's
For
too
heaven's sake,
long.
we've been wearing them short for 2 years, and my mother said, oh, my poor daughter, she can't afford it. So anyway, they made her put the skirt at the right
Oh,
length.
isn't that cute?
So, anyway.
Oh, that is cute. Did she make a baby book? I know she did a baby book, but I mean, did you end up with having a baby book for yourself too, that your mom did? The Baby's Golden Childhood? I know Anne's baby book or baby record book is the Golden Childhood. Is it she?
That's what she told us,
Is
yeah.
it?
I think so. I think she said she had one in the house that she thinks was hers.
Oh, I just have a little pink.
A pink one.
Baby book, but it's just an ordinary little, but you know, they are going to do in 2 years. They're going to do all her babies, and it's going to be something that you put your children.
Yes, isn't that gonna be
Yeah,
neat?
so that'll be nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. And greeting cards, we don't know too much about the greeting cards.
Yeah, she did Christmas cards.
She did Christmas cards, and we need to get some of those.
Oh, I did see one.
Oh, yeah, this is the Australian one, so it's kind of fun.
Oh.
We have a few Australian books, and we have
Just a few,
many.
a few.
Spanish and one I think is in Hebrew.
Hebrew would be a neat one to
Yeah.
have.
And
They do it backwards. I
Spanish
think.
and what else do I have? I think a Finnish or something, some Scandinavian.
Finnish
And we have a
maybe-
Finnish, Mike Kitten,
My goodness, is that Finnish?
and I think Judy had a Mike.
Helsinki, it's from Helsinki.
Is it?
Where's that, Helsinki?
That's in
Norway,
Finland.
Finland?
That's the capital.
Okay.
And I have two very good friends that live there.
Okay, so then that, yeah, we have one of those in.
Oh, and I have one in French.
French, something in French. Bon
Nature.
Mon petit.
Bon Petit.
Oh, okay.
Baby looks.
And
is it?
the
Oh, yeah, Baby Looks
Miracle
Like
of Nature or Nature.
Wonders of Nature.
Wonders of Nature. It's Miracle of Nature or something.
Oh, yeah, that's how they say it in a different language. Mira, soul, or whatever.
Mhm.
We've seen that. Our friend Judy gets a lot of them off the internet. We've seen some of her books that are like that. There, now there's the new baby.
Oh,
The
yeah.
revised version.
When did that come out?
Not too long ago. What's it say?
A little while.
It's got the 96.
Oh, no,
1990? Copyright renewed 1990.
Oh, I was thinking it, well, and maybe it was then. I was thinking it was later, but, yeah, it's just the new title of the
Yeah.
same book.
Mhm.
The new title, the company could do anything they wanted to, I guess. Or they did.
Yeah. Is this when it was still Golden Books? Probably not. Random House
Might
had bought it,
be-
yeah.
No, yeah.
Just about plus
Yeah, that was
promotion.
still,
Okay, so.
that was. And then we saw in some catalog baby deer furniture, and there was supposed to be a little dolly rocker, and,
Oh, really?
a buggy by Headstrom. That was in an advertisement somewhere that we saw.
We actually bought a buggy that aged, but we don't.
We don't think it's the exact same one that baby deer came in, though.
No.
We think it's a different color.
Well, I've got your pen here. Why don't you put
Right.
your address,
Okay.
all your information down
Sure.
for me? So as I say,
Okay.
so I'll make sure, yeah.
Telling me about like a sweet little girl or something.
Was that illustration that was held up in the ad or in the background, or what was that?
We think it was.
I never saw it. I saw the painting, but I never saw it on television or whatever,
Oh.
or wherever it was, so I really don't know
Okay.
if it appeared in a magazine or whether it, appeared on television. So I have a feeling it was a television advertisement.
We've got one ad out of a Life magazine for a knit
Oh,
company.
yeah, for the knit cap.
Oh, yeah,
That's
those
one
I
with
just love
Elizabeth
there.
Taylor on the
Yeah.
cover in giant.
Oh, here's the, you might wanna read it out loud, Elise. It tells
Miss-
about,
Right here,
yeah, about-
Miss Wilkin, see? what do you
oh,
know?
did they do the S there too?
Has also designed some dolls for another company, which are on the market now, but it is not their policy to give credit to that man, Alexander, for you,
Yeah.
to any particular artist's work. Few of her dolls are shown in modern doll books. Currently, there is an ad on television for Thayer's Aspen, which she drew. Well, it's on television now.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Shows a little girl looking at a book, turning the pages, ending with a bottle of children's Bear's Aspen. So it must have been
Yeah.
a continuous thing.
Yeah, but you had
Many
seen
of
what
her
it
books
looked
are now available. Some are new and some are.
Yeah,
So it must have been just one,
it sounds like it.
it wasn't animated or anything, as you would think an ad would be.
No, that doesn't sound like it.
No.
But I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
Well, I just remember seeing the picture, but I don't.
Okay.
So.
And you told me about McCurdy's, what that was. She was fashion.
I wonder if this
No.
Pat Stewart is still alive.
I was gonna ask you too. Do you remember hearing that name at all?
Yes, I met her. She came
Oh,
to
you
the
did?
house when I lived here. She lives in Redwood,
Okay.
and she drove here when Mother came to visit me. So I was able to meet her. And I met Linda Mauser too.
And I don't know that name. Do we know that name?
She was primarily doll
Doll
most of the
oriented.
dolls, yeah. But this was another fan club here in,
Now, you can say this on there about Mary Alexander, the little battle girl was like a topsy-turvy doll, right?
Yeah,
She was
sort of
cloth
like
and you could turn her upside down.
of Raggedy Ann. And you, of course, you know about the little golden book.
Yes.
wrote.
Yes.
Yes, it was meant to be a little, but I've seen it once in a Madame Alexander catalog,
Uh-huh.
and it's two dolls. It isn't.
Right.
She doesn't look together. I don't know whether. I don't know. It didn't tell that you turned it over, but that's the way it was supposed to be.
That's what we thought.
Mhm.
Because I don't have either one of those dolls.
No.
I'm looking for it.
I've never, I've just seen it advertised one year. So I don't think she made too many.
No. And then Dizzy Timmy, you said was given by your mother to Mark, or was it?
Mark has it somewhere.
Mark
Nobody
has it.
knows where. But it was, she did the Busy Timmy book.
Right.
And then about 14 years later, she did the doll for Jolly Toys.
For Jolly Toys.
Mhm.
That's really the only doll that she did probably for Jolly Toys, as far as we know.
As far as I know.
I mean, there's always been this kind of, they've been wondering about Little Red Riding Hood and things like that, because she looks similar, but, and those Jolly Toy dolls all do look similar.
Yeah.
And
No, she
then
started out with
Rebel.
Vogue, and she really liked Vogue, and Vogue always gave her credit. Of course, Madame
Right.
Alexander did a wonderful job. So she liked working with Madame Alexander, but she never gave her credit. She didn't want people to know that at one point, she wasn't even giving her royalties that she was special. She had to sue them. So I shouldn't even tell you that.
No.
Should have you turn your thing off?
Yeah.
No.
So, and she did win the suit because they weren't paying her proper royalties. I think what happened, Madame Alexander got on, I did meet Madame Alexander because I went down with
You
her
went down
when
with
she
her?
took Puddin down there. And she
Puddin.
was older. And we were in her office, and the son-in-law had it was almost as if he was spying on her, because he had a desk right beside, and I think he was, at this point, he was the marketing man and probably, didn't have the heart and the soul of Madame Alexander,
Right.
He was all business. And, Mother said, I want Puddin to have blonde hair and brown eyes, and of course, usually blonde-haired dolls have blue eyes.
Blue eyes, right.
So Madame Alexander wasn't too sure about this, but she sent away, and they bought up the whole box of eyes that they put in the dolls. And Mother sort of sorted through them and took out these dark brown eyes and said, "This is what I want."
I want the brown eyes.
And it was adorable.
Oh,
And it
I
was
know,
a
I
great
love that.
combination. I love that doll.
Oh, I do too.
So, and then Madame Alexander took us on a tour of the factory, and then we came back and had scones and tea.
Oh.
And at that point, the son-in-law wasn't there, so maybe he figured, as long as we weren't discussing business and just having a social time, he could leave the room, but
Yeah.
he gave me the creeps.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
What is he doing? Sitting
Yeah.
there, he didn't, if he had joined the discussion or
Right.
sat down
He
with
just
us and
sat
sort
there
of, but
like-
he just sat there listening to us.
Like a crow or something, like a bird in the
Yeah,
background.
it was creepy. It
Oh,
was
that
really
is
creepy.
really funny. Oh
Yeah,
my
so,
gosh.
Anyway.
And do you know anything about that Blessed Virgin Mary School in Brockport? Think you remember?
Where are you talking about that?
Oh, that isn't in there. That was through
We
the
run in,
internet.
yeah, we run into
An author.
we find some books just by somebody noticing a signature. And this author, they said he tried to we talked to him recently by email.
He's an author.
And he's an author. He wrote a book, and he had a little illustration on the cover, just a teeny one of a Brockport school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was taken off of a cover that your mother did from that school, commemorating their 100th anniversary
Of the church.
of the church. And
We don't know how old she was, and you said she was there when she was around 14.
Well, she never
Is it-
went to school, except in high school.
But in 1976, she did the cover for it. It's just a little
Right.
pamphlet.
She
We've got
mentioned
that. I've got a
she did a
picture of it.
Because she, her whole family was connected to Brockport,
Right.
they kind of probably asked her
To do that.
And then the visit, that's her grandfather's, and I think she gave them, I don't know if she gave them an original picture of it or what, but it's in the alumni house in Brockport.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
really?
you see,
Okay.
there is this, and both Mother and Esther, they figure that's their people.
Okay.
So, they have a special affinity.
Yeah, probably somebody just knew she was an artist and said, would you do this for our commemorative, for our,
Mhm.
our
Because they were actually
anniversary?
born in Rochester. When they were born there, their parents were living in Rochester, but as I say, her
you kind of wonder if she did the illustration in 76 or if they took it off of something else.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said Franklin Daly was his name.
Franklin Daly.
That did the book, said he tried to contact the family and tried to contact Golden Books, and he didn't have any luck. But all it was just this little sketch of the front of that school that he took off of
Of a book.
a cover. And he must be in his 80s also.
Yeah, he's in the movie.
And he's written other books, but he just said he had a close
Did he
connection
say what cover?
of the, yeah, I've got a picture of it in here. It's
A kindergarten book?
no, it was from the cover of the brochure that they did for the 100th anniversary of the church.
Oh.
He just took a piece of that cover off and put it on the cover of
Oh,
his
it was
book,
a little
because his
church
book
of
was
the nun.
about the sisters of that church.
Yeah. Oh.
And he lived in Brockport.
Oh, I see, okay.
I mean, I think he still does.
Because her mother probably attended that. And
Oh,
her
I'll
mother's
bet.
mother, and, she was a choir master, or she was in the choir,
So somebody just
Both my
asked her to do
grandmothers
that.
were pianists, they studied music and at the university level, and were very good
Oh, okay.
piano players.
All right. So
She
then,
didn't go on concert stage in those days.
I thought it would be difficult for you to know anyway, because you'd moved away, and you know what I mean. There's things were done before you were born and after you left, so. you
Yes,
missed
I
a
was
lot of
in
these
England,
things.
for a while.
Yeah.
I did live in Rochester from, we came back to Rochester in '64, and then I left for England in '75.
Okay.
So she was doing things and I wasn't around. I was across the pond, as they say.
Well,